Welcome to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
I'm your co-host, Pastor Wayne Moore.
Always a pleasure to host with you.
It is. It is.
And generally, we would shake hands.
Yeah, and we would hug and shake hands, but we are in a crisis in our country right now with the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so we're going to try to be an example for the community today.
And demonstrate greetings and social niceties as recommended by the health department.
That health department, yes. And Dr. Virginia Kane, we're going to do exactly what she prescribed us to do.
Yeah. So we thank you for joining us on today here on Real People, Real Voices. And we're praying for you and your family. I want to thank our sponsors.
Yes, we want to thank our sponsors. Lee Kossup and Crawley are still with us. Fervent Care Christian Academy is with us. Marion County Public Health Department is with us. And Al's Modern Clothing. Go check them out. Thank you for doing that, and continue to support our sponsors so we can continue to bring you the information that's going on around Central Indiana and Marion County.
And speaking of checking out, we'll encourage you to go to YouTube, like our YouTube channel.
And and like us on Facebook.
Like us on Facebook,
We're
along
there.
with others
Yeah.
who have already done so. We've got a great show lined up for you on today. I think you're going to really enjoy it. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. We're joined by Madison Henderson.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you here of First Indiana Robotics.
Yes.
And tell us what your responsibility is there.
Well, I'm in AmeriCorps Vista, and so technically I'm employed by the AmeriCorps, and VISTA stands for Volunteers in Service to America. And so I've dedicated a year of my life to fighting poverty, and then my role with First Indiana Robotics is to help make our programs more accessible to disadvantaged youth, which includes underrepresented groups in STEM fields, such as minorities and women, those of low socioeconomic status and things like that.
A year of your life.
Yes.
Has it been exciting?
It has been exciting. I have learned a lot. I'm about halfway through, and they're trying to talk me into doing another year, but we'll see.
And what have you seen in that year so far?
A lot. So FIRST is an amazing program. It's a K through 12 STEM mentorship program, but they believe that the future is built better together. And so basically, they are working to empower youth because they believe they're the future leaders of tomorrow. And so preparing them for a future in a technology-rich world. And it's crazy. It's like FIRST is like a best kept secret.
Right.
Like people don't know about the program, and that's why I'm here today. But when you go to some of these competitions, they're huge and the kids are phenomenal. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share more about them today.
It's nationwide.
It is nationwide, yes. We're actually in over 20 countries, I believe, as well.
How many are participating? Tell us.
Do what?
You know the numbers of participation?
27 countries, 91,000 students.
Okay.
First Indiana just covers Indiana, and so we have over 450 teams here in Indiana.
450? Mm-hmm. We're kind
Teams.
of behind in the STEM program here, aren't we?
Oh, in Indiana?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
And Indiana's huge on manufacturing, and so it's super important to get these kids engaged so that we can keep them in Indiana, right, and build our economy here.
So you all are not seeing, or are you seeing more minority students or minority children who are involved in the program?
We are seeing more, but we would like to see even more than that. And so I've worked with some of our students. I went to Indiana University and studied cultural anthropology. And so coming into this role, I assumed it was like a cultural difference, right? Maybe there's no interest, or maybe the program isn't inclusive and things like that. But it turns out that that is not the case, that FIRST does an amazing job of welcoming and making efforts to make the program as accessible as possible. And then the students actually have the interest and they want to be a part of it. But it comes down to funding and it comes down to community awareness and support.
And how do parents get their young people involved?
Well, first finding out, I guess, if there are teams in their area, but they can start up teams. So like I said, we are K through 12, and up until middle school, it's the first Lego League program. And so those are smaller teams. It's a little easier to do for parents to start up their own teams, or encouraging community organizations or schools to start up teams and support those.
And you said that the program is expensive.
Yes, well, it can be. So it kind of builds. So our high school program, they are fully fabricating 4-foot-tall, 120-pound robots within an 8-week period from the ground up. So there's not this kit that they have to work with. There's not instructions. They drop a game video that tells them how the game's going to be played, and they have to come up with ideas on how they're going to build something to play that game. And so they need parts, they need materials, they need machinery and technology and things like that. And so these things cost money.
You need donors then.
Donors, sponsors, volunteers, and mentors to help get these kids all the support that they need. It's definitely a community effort.
And in your estimation, why are mentoring programs so critically important?
Well, first, just building those bonds, seeing career professionals and kind of being able to look up to them, especially diverse mentors. You know, being able to see a person that looks like you in a career that you want to go into, and so you can see yourself in that role, right? And you can believe that you can get there. You know somebody, and they can give you advice and tips on how to get there.
Outstanding.
Yeah, I think it's important. You said, how many do we have in Indianapolis or Indiana in this program? Do you know?
In the high school program,
Yes.
in total. So in the high school program, we have between 55 and 60 teams in
Around
Indiana.
the city, right? In Indiana.
In Indiana.
And those teams are consist of, you don't know the numbers to the possibly?
It depends. So some teams have as little as like 10 members, and
that's what-
some have up to like, like 60. Like
Okay.
it depends on the interest and the capacity of that program. Some programs are ran out of schools. Some are ran out of community organizations like, what's the one, the farming?
It'll come to you.
They come, yeah.
It will, thank you.
You're doing
Yeah.
a great job too.
In Indianapolis, how are we doing?
We're doing great. I just want to see more minorities supported and more minorities that have access to this program. We have one team out of Tinley Accelerated Schools near downtown, and they're phenomenal. I just talked to them at our competition last weekend, but they are like one of our core like minority teams of all the teams that we have.
Have you pitched it to IPS?
I don't know. Maybe not as a school corporation.
Okay. Needs to be pitched. It really does.
It does. So
does.
there are other robotics programs in the state, and some of them you can get at a much lower cost than our program.
Okay.
But what the Tinley kids had shared with me, their program almost got shut down for a different robotics program. She's like, but the reason why we push so hard for FIRST is because we are like the hands-on skills that we are learning here, we wouldn't get until junior or senior year of college in an engineering program.
Really?
Yes. So they are getting these skills so early on so they can decide if that's something that they want to do, right? Before getting that far ahead or being exposed to it and deciding that that is what they want to do.
Wow.
Right?
So you got some important dates coming up?
We do. Well, we have competitions every weekend throughout March, pending no coronavirus like cancellations, right? But our Perry Meridian competition is coming up, and that's at Perry Meridian High School here in Indianapolis, and that is March 27th and 28th. And so hopefully this airs before then. And then our state competition is April 3rd through 5th, and that is at Lafayette Jefferson High School.
Moving around.
Yes, so we just had Bloomington. Next week we have St. Joe County, so that'll be at Penn High School up north. And then we have Columbus, Indiana as well.
And you're traveling around all these places?
And this
Yes.
is volunteerism for you.
Yes, well, it's on a stipend basis, so I get a
Okay.
living allowance.
Okay,
So
you got to live.
we do, right?
Yeah,
We have to
you
eat,
gotta live. You
gotta
gotta-
pay rent.
So our last minute here with you, what would you like to see in the next 2 to 5 years?
I would like to see more people coming out to the events because honestly, once you get there, you're hooked. Like I'm telling you, it's like going to a basketball game.
Really?
Kids are dressed up in their team colors, their faces are painted, they're spectators. It's a basketball court-sized field. Like it is amazing once you get there, but it's impossible to know without going.
Is
right?
it televised?
Sometimes we'll have like news stations come. We have like a Twitch channel that streams it, but again, people aren't just watching us on Twitch, you know what I mean? So I want people to come out and then see the importance of the program. I want diverse mentors to see the potential in these kids and volunteer their time.
Could you go to camera 3 and give us some information how we can contact you?
Yes, so my email address is mhenderson@firstinspires.org, and so if you're interested in donating or supporting in any way, volunteering, or if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Our website is www.firstindianarobotics.org for more information.
Thank you, Madison. You've been a great guest.
You did a great job, Madison.
Thank you.
All the best to you.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We got more to come. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. We're joined by Enroll Indy, Cassandra Anderson, Bill Murphy.
Yes.
Welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for coming on behalf of Enroll Indy to talk about some of the things that are going on there. What is Enroll Indy for our viewers that may not know?
Bill?
Sure. So Enroll Indy is a third-party organization that partners with the Indianapolis Public Schools, the charter schools in the area, and the innovation schools, which might be charter or district schools. And our job is to first meet with parents and community members and help them understand what choices are available to them, make sure that all parents are kind of super users, that they know what they want for their child and how to get that for their child. And then our secondary job is to make sure that the schools and the districts have information about what it is that parents want from them so that they can make smart choices about their offerings.
Outstanding. And one of the things that you all are doing is the One Match program.
That's right.
So talk to us about One Match.
So One Match is our application process. A lot of parents aren't aware that the enrollment process has changed. You can no longer just go to the school and enroll your child. One Match allows them to choose up to 10 schools based off their need, what their child's interests are, their zip code. They can fill out the application and choose up to 10 schools that they would like for their child to be matched for the upcoming school year.
How is the community utilizing Enroll Indy? Is it effective?
I believe it is. We have over 50 community partners that we partner with. We go out into the community and we host, well, we don't host events, the community partners host events. We come on site, we work with families to get them enrolled into One Match. And so I believe that it's effective, Bill. What would you say?
We want to make sure that everybody, just like if you move to a new city and you want to know how to use the mass transit system, you don't necessarily need some expert to tell you how to do it. We want to make sure you could go to a librarian, you could go to your pastor, you could go to your barber. I mean, I've literally taught my barber how to use the One Match system so that anybody that comes in with their son to get their haircut could also say, I don't actually know how to do this. And my barber could say, oh, you just need to log on here and do this. We want to make sure that community support is around every corner so that nobody ever finds themselves not knowing how to work the system to find the best school for their kid. What we do is make sure that our enrollment guides are also available, like Cassandra said, at community events, at the local library, at sporting events, so that any parent can either reach them directly face-to-face or they could call into our office and get support that way.
And we also are working with our community partners to train their community leaders who work with families directly to allow them to actually help families as well so that they can't make it to the office. So if you go to John Bonner Center, you could work with one of their community outreach workers and they could assist you fill out that application.
And Cassandra, you mentioned that parents can no longer go directly to the school. So walk us through the process and what parents can expect.
So if it's their neighborhood school, they would go directly to the school to enroll their child. But if it's a IPS choice school or a charter school, they could either come to our office and sit with one of our enrollment guides. They can go online at www.enrollindy.org, click on the One Match icon and complete the application that way, create an account, or they can call our office and we will actually walk them through filling out that application as well.
And what schools are
The only thing is you could technically walk into a school. We've made sure there's at least one person trained at every school building because we know sometimes parents are just going to walk to their school and say, help me with this process. And so we make sure that there's someone at the school that knows how to do the application and they know how to reach us if there's anything that's confusing or out of the ordinary.
You mentioned partnerships, over 50 partnerships. But not my concern, but I'm wondering, are the parents really taking advantage of this particular situation?
We're on track to have over 10,000 student users this year, which means we really track closely kids at pre-kindergarten, 6th grade, 8th grade, because those are the years that you transition. It might be the case that you change schools in 4th grade or 5th grade, but most of our students are really making those moves as they go from elementary to middle school to high school. And so with 10,000 users, we would have the overwhelming majority. We would have nearly 100% of all kids entering high school would be participating with Enroll Indy. And then slightly less, closer to 70% for middle school. And part of that is because people have options outside of the city. So if you choose to go to a township school, we don't actually have any participation in that.
Townships.
Correct. But what we do is if a family comes to us and says, I'm interested in going to a school in Pike Township or to Heron High School or to KIPP High School, we help them do their application with us, and then we point them in the direction of how to reach the folks at Pike Township to do that as well.
Well, that's outstanding. With regard to our viewers, how can they be involved?
Well, we're in the middle of round 2 for One Match. So if there is a family out there who would like to enroll their child into an IPS, Innovation or Choice School or charter school, they have up until April 30th to complete the application. And so as Bill said, we're really pushing hard for those transition grades to get that done, especially those 8th grade students who are transitioning to 9th grade. And so they can contact our office by calling 317-426-3234 to complete that application. They can go online to complete the application, or we'll be at a lot of community events coming up where we'll have guides available to walk the families through completing the application as well. Or visit us at 120 East Walnut Street.
That's right.
And the folks, of course, you guys have been doing this for a while. Enroll Indy, of course, has been doing this for a while. What's the biggest challenge that you all have been able to overcome over the past few months?
I've been really excited with our outreach to the Latino community. We have 3 of our 4 enrollment guides are fluent in both English and Spanish. And so we've been able to make sure that we actually get really high marks from the Latino community. 90% of our Latino families indicate that they are satisfied with the experience they have when they work with us. Obviously, I'd like to make it 100%, but I feel really good about our ability to work with folks who don't speak English as their first language. I think the other thing that has been challenging but also positive is helping folks really look at the full range of high school choices for their children and think through what do you envision for your son or daughter long term and what is the best path to ensure that that happens for them. With the high rate of participation we have in 9th grade, we really feel like we've been able to support parents at a time when maybe their child isn't always as ready to listen to them as we'd like them to be, because we can sit down with a parent and a child and say, your mom thinks you should be an engineer. Here are the best schools for that right now. What do you want to do? I want to play basketball. Well, this school has a basketball team also, so there's a good fit for you. We really want to help parents have that conversation with their older children so they're on a path to success.
All right, and Cassandra, what would you like to see over the next couple of years during the time you're involved?
You said what now?
What would you like to see?
I would just like to see, again, our increased numbers of making sure that we are getting the information out to families, more families, because again, a lot of families aren't aware of the change. So just knowing that we are touching as many families as we possibly can. So I'm out in the community as much as possible. So just continuing that work of being visible in the community and touching those families.
All right, well, certainly you all have been visible today. And thank you for coming. All the best to your efforts. And thank you all for joining us. We have the rundown in just a few moments. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Real People, Real Voices. I'm your host, James Jackson.
Co-host Pastor Wayne Moore.
And I'm your executive producer, Faith McKinney.
Wonderful 2 segments with robotics
Yes.
and Enroll Indy. I think that's a good pair there.
Yeah, I think
Education.
Education is a good pair. I think the latter one with Enroll Indy. I think a lot of people need to know as much as possible about Enroll Indy and what it does and what it can do and what it is keeping things from being done in certain areas. But you have to investigate that for yourself. And but we just have to be cautious about a lot of things that are going on as it relates to some changes in education. One thing that I liked also was the robotics program is phenomenal. To understand, every time we do a show like that, Brother Jackson, people always are looking for the minority help, the minority volunteerism, and it's rough because we don't see a lot of that. And to have kids in a program and don't see young men and women that look like them is almost becoming a travesty now. And I think we need to try to change that.
Yeah, we need more of our viewers to get involved.
To get involved.
And to go back over to YouTube and Facebook, pull the information, and become a volunteer.
And that's why we have guests like Madison and Enroll Indy. We want people to know about the resources that we do have here in Indianapolis and Indiana, because there's no reason why we can't be involved in any of these activities.
Right, and I think not only that, but it also helps people to look into the innovation school systems, the charter school systems, and to also looking into IPS, because these are systems that your children are going to function in, and try to find the best system for them without professional manipulation, if I could say it that way. Because education is something that is very important to any child, and we need to know what our children are being connected to and how it's going to take them in the future.
Yeah, especially in the early years.
Right.
And I think we've had on the show today at least two possibilities for our parents and our young people to avail themselves to.
Yeah, and I have to agree with Faith. The information is good for people to make the right decisions and the right choices for their children and for their futures.
Yeah. And you made the right choice by tuning in on today. We want to thank you for doing that. We also want to thank our sponsors, Lee Kosel and Crawley, Fervent Care, Child Care and Christian Academy, Marion County Public Health, and
Al's Modern Clothing.
shoes.
Yes.
They can take good care of you. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.